Sometimes I think all of us can get into a rut, a kind of continuing difficulty or strain in our work or in our relationships. And I think when that happens, the best thing for us to do is to stop and step back for a moment, to reflect a bit, and maybe to make a special effort to go back to the basics, maybe the fundamentals of whatever task we are undertaking, to go back to maybe the first foundations of the relationships that we are involved in. And in our spiritual life, this advice is of the greatest importance. We can get so confused and distracted, and we need to remember this most basic truth that God is love, and He loves us infinitely, and He is always working in our lives to fill us with that love. And He wants to do that in the most ordinary events of every day. This is the point of our first reading. The Lord, in the figure of these men, appears to Abraham in a most normal and ordinary type of encounter. Abraham responds, again, not with some extraordinary or remarkable achievement. He simply greets the men with hospitality and generosity and prepares a meal for them. What is more normal and ordinary than this? And then we are told that Abraham receives a blessing from God, this most wondrous gift that he and Sarah will have a son. Don't you see, this is the precise way that God continues to work in our lives. He is in all things. He uses all things and all circumstances to share with us His joy and His love and His peace. Whether it be tragedy or triumph, He is the one who is always here, always seeking to engage us so that He might bless us. This is, of course, one of the major lessons of our gospel today. The symbolism of that encounter that Abraham had is now made fully real. God Himself appears, and Martha and Mary welcome Him. Martha prepares the meal. Mary is sitting beside Him, listening to Him. But here's where everything breaks down a bit. Martha, we are told, is anxious and frustrated. And it's not because she is serving, but it is because she thinks things should be different than what they are. That somehow Mary is not acting properly. So Martha does not accept her role. She doesn't trust that what has been given to her is best. She complains, as we all too often do, succumbing to that temptation to want things our way. And I can't help but think that this is as part of the core of the crisis in our culture that revolves around sexual morality. It has even affected now our understanding of marriage. Marriage is not a human convention that can be changed. It is, it always has been, and it only can be this permanent bond of love between a man and a woman, open to the gift of children. Each year the church gives us this week, it's called Natural Family Planning Awareness Week, to bring to our attention in this program of natural family planning this emphasis of the beauty and wonder of God's vision for human love, to reconnect husband and wife to that truth, this love that is objectively disfigured by the use of artificial contraception. I hope all of us know that our sexuality is a gift that God has given to us, and it is a great good. And as with all things, He wants to bless us in a most wonderful way in our experience of it. I hope all of us know that the expression of marital love and the physical union of husband and wife is a sacred embrace, a most profound blessing. This Thursday, June 25th, marks the 45th anniversary of the publication of the encyclical Humanae Vitae on human life. In that encyclical that was written in 1968 by Pope Paul VI, he reiterated the truth about this intimate union of man and woman that must be taught by the church. That by definition, this action unites a man and a woman in a permanent, exclusive, and life-giving bond, So it can only be honestly expressed within marriage, always open to that greatest blessing. Consequently, the church teaches that it is always gravely sinful to engage in this act outside of marriage, but that even within marriage, it becomes sinful if the couple acts in a positive way by using artificial contraception or any other procedure that will render this expression of love sterile. Sadly, our culture has so drowned out this truth, distorting this most sacred gift that God has given to us, and even seeking to change the very definition of marriage. We know the teaching of the church that all single persons are to live without experiencing this most intimate expression of love, still living out their sexuality with great generosity and purity. It is a gift in a special way given to the priest and to other consecrated persons, and in a sense they show its sublime value by giving it up to then be at service of greater need to all of God's people. We pray that all of us may hear these teachings with an open mind and to strive as best as we can to accept these teachings and to live them out in faith. Are these teachings challenging and demanding? Of course they are. But following Christ will always be so. It will lead us to sufferings that will come, those of which St. Paul writes in our second reading, that he rejoices to the extent that he can share in that suffering, since that allows him to be more deeply united to Christ. So in a special way, we pray this week for all of our married couples and all who will be called to that sacred vocation, that they may always see the grandeur of that love that they are called to share. We pray for our children as they grow up in a culture that so distorts this holy gift of sexuality and seeks to confuse them so much in the widespread denigration of what marriage is. And we pray for one another that in this area and in all of the normal and everyday events and responsibilities that are ours, we may have the vision to always see the guiding hand of God present in each and every moment of each and every day. The God who only wants us to follow his wisdom and his truth, so that he may then share with us all of his greatest blessings, the fullness of his life and his love.